Welcome to Start Here, a podcast sharing the stories of active, aspiring, and accidental entrepreneurs. I'm Nicole Eaton.
And I'm Dave Bradbury. So let's get to the show.
Today we sit down with Phil Beauregard, entrepreneur and managing general partner at Impellent Ventures. Welcome, Phil.
Good morning.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for joining us, but I want to just jump in. Why do top founders want your money from Impellent?
Wow, you don't even mess around, do you?
No, we got to keep it going.
You don't warm me up at all.
No warm up.
No breakfast, nothing like that. Why do top founders want Impellent's money?
Yeah, you sell money to founders. So why would they choose Impellent or you? What part of your way?
So when we first started prosecuting our strategy at Impellent Ventures, or we kind of coalesced around a common theme. Getting into venture, I had a decision whether or not to join the Navy or be a pirate. And joining the Navy was in the form of kind of going to some of the bigger firms. If you don't know what's going on nowadays, is there's this big bifurcation in venture that's occurring. 75% of the dollars are going to, top 10 firms. It's billions of dollars. They're turning into RIAs, which are retail investment advisors. So it's these huge shops managing tens of billions of dollars. Andreessen Horowitz, Sequoia, Lightspeed, General Catalyst. And these are just absolute juggernauts. And I wouldn't necessarily call them venture capital anymore, to tell you the truth.
Right.
And I'm going somewhere with this. It just may take a little while. So excuse me.
We don't have a gong.
Actually,
we do have a gong in the main room, but not for this.
Excuse my meandering, right? So, but it's important to the story. So you have these massive firms that once were very, very innovative shops, and they really coalesced around. They brought themselves back to Silicon Valley. So if you hear any of the podcasts, you hear people talking about how the greats, the people that I grew up kind of saying, oh my God, these guys make such great investments, like Peter Fenton and Ben Horowitz and all the guys from Sequoia and Index and so on and so forth. And they say, this is the place, this is the only place, this will be the place forever, San Francisco. It drives me fucking nuts for obvious reasons. I mean, for anybody to have kind of for anybody to have the hubris to say, okay, like oceans rise and empires fall. Do you remember Rome, right? Like there's never been a time where there hasn't been an empire or an organization that hasn't fallen. So for them to all say, San Francisco is the only place you can do venture capital and create artificial intelligence technology and do all of these things forever, full stop. It's like, you don't know if San Francisco is going to be the Borderlands or Fallout in 50 years, never mind anything else. But putting all of that aside, that's the art that they're practicing or the science that they're practicing. They're moving tens of billions of dollars. They're doing it into a very certain set of companies. It becomes consensus capital. With all that being said, I'm invested in some of these firms. So it does have a place. And if you want to move a $100 million check, like most pensions, then this is a good place to park your money because you can't go wrong betting on IBM. And you can get your classic 2 to 3x over X, 10-year period of time, so on and so forth. What we're seeing now is that on the other end of the barbell, there's still a huge demand and a huge space for craft venture capital firms, the sub-$100 million vehicles, people that can be nimble, people that are truffle pigs, people that are, pirates, people that are once entrepreneurs, and you're seeing a lot of these, and they're amazing. And they're sitting there and they're saying, I'm going to raise $100 million or less, and I'm going to go and get as early as humanly possible, invest with conviction, try to get ownerships, invest at a sub-10, sub-$20 million valuation, and try to help those companies create optionality to the point where they can get to the Andreessen Horowitzes and the Sequoias and so on and so forth. And there's just such a massive amount of alpha at that stage. And by alpha, I mean you can get an 8x or a 10x on a fund. Historically, there's been no fund that's greater than $100 million that's created greater than a 5x return.
Right.
So,
our experience, we've only seen the greater than 4x returns on the first two checks we write, which are pre-seed and seed.
Totally.
And we're tiny,
No.
We're not in your league or theirs by any stretch.
So that's exactly it. I mean, it's math, right, at the end of the day. And there's a place for both of these types. So when I was making the choice to get into venture capital, it was, join the Navy or be a pirate. Joining the Navy would have been more lucrative and probably a little bit more palatable to my wife and my family at the time, because, those become kind of fee machines and you're guaranteed, a certain amount of money and a lifestyle and so on and so forth. But I would say that the more entrepreneurial effort for the rank and file at venture capital firms comes from becoming a pirate, I would say, and building your own kind of firm and your own brand and so on and so forth. So, circling back to your question,
I was gonna get back to that.
Yeah. So
why you?
Yeah. So first things first, because you have a choice between getting one of these massive machines and these nation states and getting all the resources they can provide you at a certain phase, which is totally advantageous in a lot of circumstances and a lot of times in a company's kind of arc. But I would say that you're going to get a lot of personal attention from people like us, and specifically from us. We are not the types like Keith Rabois and crew saying the only way to do this is to pay the most attention and most resources to your successful companies, forget all of the losers. That's what they're saying. Right. I mean, they're not going to, I think they've actually said the word losers before, right? So we don't do that. We invest in 35 companies per fund. In every single one of those companies, as long as we're still an invited guest at the table, meaning, the styles match and they want us there and they want our help and they want to reach out to us and they want our advice, we are going to show up at any time, any place. I mean, we are that call in the middle of the night. And it just so happens that I think, one, we have experience. Yeah. I mean, we can see around
operators and
this is Sparta, right? There's scars all over the bodies in Impellent, and we all have various experiences. We're all very different, but one thing that makes us who we are is that we all have that experience in different capacities as entrepreneurs, and we all have kind of our specialties. It's like a SEAL Team 6. Also, we share values at the firm. So with that being said, why Impellent? It's because you are going to get the attention. You are going to get the help. You're also going to get the help of, and some firms can boast this, I would say, in the emerging manager or kind of the sub-$100 million sector. You're going to get our LP base as well. And our LP base is just comprised of, the state of New York and some institutionals, right, which we're very blessed to have at this stage. But in addition to that, the Jason Robbins of the world, the Mike Salgueros of ButcherBox. Jason's from obviously DraftKings. Some of the HubSpot folks, Rich Miner from Google Ventures and Android, and Andy Palmer, and there are just so many people that are involved with our firm that can just open these worlds. So it's almost like I'm probably dating a lot of the audience here, but Minesweeper. Right? Like each one of our LPs is that kind of thing that opens up a new part of the map as long as you don't step on a bomb. So I think that has a lot to do with it. I wouldn't say we're the only people that provide that sort of stuff, but we certainly provide our own kind of unique brand. The last point is, and I know you probably want to move on to the next question, is that we fucking print money. There's been data, and our portfolio is outperforming 99% of the other portfolios in the United States of America right now.
Wow.
Yeah. So, we're there.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's fucking data, right? Yeah. Like at the end of the day, we can say, okay, go talk to them.
It works.
I could talk about myself all day long. I'd rather not, like my wife would tell me not to, but,
Well, let's hope she listens. Yeah. All right. Thanks for that sort of set on Impellent and how you position yourselves in the firm.
Yeah. I do want to just backtrack a little bit, and I want you to talk about yourself for maybe a minute or two if you can. But you grew up in New Bedford, went to Wharton. Just tell us about you before we go back into this.
Yeah, I think, like anybody else, I don't think there's anything wildly interesting there. I grew up in New Bedford, Massachusetts, obviously, which was, at times a challenging environment. Certainly gave me a certain view of the world, and my parents were amazing, and they always kind of encouraged reading and academic studies and stuff along those lines, and they gave us tremendous opportunities to see the world. We were always at museums or something like that on the weekends, and it was amazing. So I was I would certainly say it was nature, where I was just kind of gifted at math to a certain degree. And so I ended up going to Wharton undergrad. And that was great. I wouldn't say I was the best student. I definitely had my own pursuits where I was kind of figuring out who I was as an adult. That took until I was about 35 years old. But with that being said, if that's even the case now. But with that being said, yeah, it was New Bedford to Wharton, and then I started my first software company after 2 glorious years of investment banking. As a junior,
recovering investment banker, I love it.
Yeah, two fantastic, amazing years as an investment banker. I started my first software company when I was 26 and sold it about 7 years later, and then I had started another one and sold that. So the first one was sold to Carbon Black, which was Bit9 at the time, and then went public, and then HubSpot was the second company. Both were okay. I'm certainly, they weren't billion-dollar exits or anything else or anywhere close to that. But with that being said, I would say that a tremendous amount of value in it was it's going to sound a little smarmy, but was the experience. Was kind of taking my licks and that classic, Mike Tysonism, right, where you learn that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth over and over and over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. So by the time I was able to kind of wake back up from my grieving after the second sale or say, what do I want to do with my life when I grow up? Everything had kind of set in and gelled, and then I became the operator that I was supposed to be, in my estimation. And I spent about 5 years as an extremely successful operator, growing companies, booking hundreds of millions of dollars in sales, closing hundreds of millions of dollars in financings, advising companies. I was also angel investing at the time.
Yeah, right. Did we meet through Ty Danko originally?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Great. Yeah. And that's the other thing is just the network, right? Like the people that were, and I say this honestly, the people that became willing to put up with me is absolutely, I just don't understand it. Like I don't. Like I mean,
he's testing us, Nicole, right?
Yeah,
right.
No, I'm not kidding. Like I mean, I can be a real pain in the ass, right? Like so, in a little.
Did that come from New Bedford, growing up in a really scrappy kind of place, or just
it's all genetic?
Yeah.
Actually, genetic mutation. My parents aren't particularly obnoxious, but I am. So at the end of the day, it's that network and all these different things that kind of coalesce that I wouldn't say I'm the most successful person on earth, right? But within the realm of trying to be self-aware, I don't know, I'm fucking happy. I do well, and I tend to think that, again, data, like as far as this particular profession goes and doing what we do, it's only 4.5 years in for me, but it's a hell of a good start. So that's kind of the way that I view it right now, and I feel like I'm enormously lucky. Rather be lucky than good.
Yeah.
What was your first job growing up or startup? Did you do anything?
First job? No, not startup. Yeah.
Well, you might have been like, I
don't have the I went to the store and I bought a bunch of eggs and then I sold eggs to my friends. I probably could have said lollipops or something, right? Who the fuck wants to buy eggs? Yeah. But I didn't do that. At the ripe age of 14, I had my dad sign in Westport, Massachusetts, sign an employment, whatever that thing is, waiver that allows me to work. And I went and started washing dishes at a restaurant called Kate Corey's in Westport, Massachusetts. Awesome. And then that started an illustrious, again, that word, career in restaurants up until the age of about 18. Where I made my way all the way up through bartender. It was a meteoric rise of epic proportions.
I was going to say, wow. What was your first job, Nicole?
I worked at a grocery store, actually. Yeah.
Grocery?
Yeah, grocery store. It was fun.
I worked for Farmer Yop, baling hay, and I think it was $1 an hour.
Nice.
Yeah. I think every young person should bale hay or work outside.
Wash dishes.
Or wash dishes.
Outside sounds nice, actually, because the dishes thing was legit. You're in a basement, and you have this Hobart machine that's just like belching fucking dragon's breath at your face like once every 2 seconds, and
you don't know if it's day or night in the basement.
It's just people are disgusting, and like they're like people that were like, I remember this one guy, and I'm not going to implicate him because who the fuck knows where he is now. But he was one of the other dishwashers, and plates used to come in, and he used to take food off of them and eat it after people had done it. And be like, dude, I don't think that's a thing here. Or it was a very strange environment. But with that being said, I quickly, because of my amazing dishwashing capabilities, proved myself to become a prep cook. And then I was off. I still have.
Is that still in the basement, or could you?
Yeah, no, prep cook was in the basement. And I was I still have those knife skills to this day. And then I remember, the manager of the restaurant was actually said, we need your face out on the floor. And I was like, okay,
wow.
that's kind of weird. Yeah.
Front of house, huh?
16 years old.
That's an honor.
It's also a little inappropriate.
So probably another form to sign at that point, another consent.
Yeah, more like an NDA, right? I didn't know what I was signing. But so I ended up becoming a busboy. And then a host, and what the fuck are we talking about here? Let's move on to something.
I mean, no, but it's your work ethic. I think it does say something about who you are, because clearly you worked hard, and it didn't matter that you were a dishwasher.
Now that I think about it, it was one of the times that we're all just sapiens, right? We're very Pavlovian, and reward mechanisms. I worked, and then I got a 1989 Chrysler LeBaron that was piss yellow. It had, I shit you not, it had a recliner that my dad had installed because the passenger seat broke.
Rusted out or
Can you imagine? I want you all to picture this, people listening. If you're listening out there, anywhere, imagine taking the seat out of a car and putting an old recliner that looks like it was red, and it came off the side of the street. And it probably has bed bugs, or I have no idea. That's what it was. And that was the best car on earth, because I was cracking around in that thing in high school.
Don't you wish you still had that one in the garage?
No, I don't. I absolutely don't.
Right.
No, absolutely not.
That's funny. Okay. Thank you. Fast forward now. You're an Ivy League grad, and you're now working with a hip hop star. How did that happen?
I almost feel like sometimes I'm working for, just because Tariq is so larger than life. I grew up, obviously listening to hip hop and that sort of stuff. So the Roots were the first kind of band, the hip hop band. They were truly a group like that, and Quest or Amir and Tariq had come together. Their music was amazing. I went to school in Philly. They were from Philly. And they spawned. I mean, it's one of those kind of mafias, so many different kind of musical styles and bands. And to this day, Tariq feels like he's everybody's big brother when he walks into a room, including Jay-Z or Jimmy Fallon or anyone. So I met Tariq when Twitter had utility. Back in the day when it was a little bit of a different platform, and I no longer use it. But back then I was pretty active, and I was talking to Rich Miner, the Android man, a close friend, and we were just back and forth. He had a big following. I didn't really, but Tariq somehow butted into the conversation, totally random, and I later learned that it was actually one of his people that was doing his tweeting for him, or Xing, whatever you fucking kids call it nowadays. But
I still call it tweeting.
Yeah,
and I don't do it either.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Xing sounds a little weird, but so I ended up being like, is that Tariq? Is that Black Thought from the Roots? And so I ended up sliding into his DMs like a creep. And just said, you're probably not even going to read this, but my name is blah, blah, blah. Would you come to, do some stuff at Harvard? Would you come and talk to some kids about you coming up in a fireside chat or something like that? To my surprise, he said, yeah. So it got sponsored, and he came down and he gave this talk to 50 people. We had a standing room only type thing. All sorts of people wanted to show up. It was a big hit. He dropped his first real viral freestyle there.
Wow.
It was the one before Funkmaster Flex, the epic 14-minute one. And Tariq and I just became the oddest of friends. like truly, like it's like a Disney characters, right? Like Timon and Pumbaa, or like just weird bedfellows.
And had he been an investor prior to?
Yeah, so Tariq.
So
at that point, Tariq was really just kind of saying not what's next, because he's been at the Fallon show since like 2009 or something like that. But he was more just thinking about, what are some other things that could be interesting for my future? Mm-hmm. Tariq's like one of those athletes that's always thinking ahead, like Iguodala or something like that, or Steph Curry. So one of the things that he was looking into, he knew Nas was doing some stuff with tangentially with like Ring and PillPack and so on and so forth. And Tariq said, okay, well, I'm going to make some investments. And we didn't talk business, or at least I went off and was running companies, and Tariq was obviously on the Fallon show. And when I finally decided to join David Brown, the man that started Impellent Ventures, my partner, who's, the greatest of amongst all of us as a human being, we reached out to Tariq being like, it would be awesome to have him as an LP. And Amir, Quest and Jimmy, and their best friends are Dave Chappelle and Lin-Manuel Miranda and the Obamas. So they're like, that'd be cool, right? That's a little bit of a weird thing that could be about Impellent. And so when we went to go meet with him in New York, he essentially just said, hey, listen, yes, but also I'd like to learn what you guys are doing. I'd like to be a partner at Impellent Ventures. And we said, well, that's a different conversation entirely, right? Clear your schedule.
Yeah.
So that's how that came to be. And I mean, Tariq's just a brother. Like, I mean, we text every day and stuff like that. It's kind of weird sometimes though when I center myself when I'm sitting with him, because I'll be sitting with him. 30 Rock, the studio, is like backstage at the Fallon show. He has his own dressing room and all that sort of stuff. It's across you'll be sitting there and like Steve Martin will walk by, and I'm just kind of like, holy shit, like Steve Martin asks you where the bathroom is, and stuff along those lines. So
have you ever thought to yourself like, okay, how do I win a Grammy?
Never. No,
okay,
no.
All right.
I'm actually usually not. I believe it or not, like I have such a I don't know. My pulse stays the same at all times, so I don't really care. But seeing Steve Martin's pretty cool, like through my dad, Three Amigos and stuff. But needless to say, it's kind of like a third office for us sometimes. Like Tariq allows us to.
So it brings an entirely different network perspective to.
Oh my God!
What you see, the distribution amongst your. You call them LPs, but it really is the unfair advantage that anybody has.
You just named the three things, right? Perspective is the biggest thing, because at the end of the day, like. I am a white male. No matter how many tattoos I get, like I have a very specific perspective, or at least, and Tariq sometimes really throws some curveballs in our IC or just in meetings, saying like, why are you thinking that way? Tariq's very quiet, by the way. He's one of those that he's extremely funny, but he only says something when he really feels like he should be saying something. It's almost like he's saving his words. And he just provides this amazing perspective, and exactly what you said. I just named his friends. So, if an entrepreneur is doing well and there's movement behind it, he can be very, very helpful.
Is that it? I mean, we have two hip hop captains.
I could keep going on this, but I won't.
Why not?
We'll save it for after.
You guys can.
Well, Nicole's she's Miss New York City / Williston, Vermont. That's sort of how she rolls. We
just brought. So we were in New York for Primaries Venture Summit, which is this big meat market of an event, and we brought 15 people to the Fallon show backstage, and then sat in the audience, and then we all went to Avra across the street afterwards with Tariq and stuff, and just had an awesome dinner, and it was
fun.
Again, it's just super lucky, it's cool. But I'm not gonna lie, like most of the time I'd rather be home with my 4 and my 5-year-old and my absolutely gorgeous, amazing wife. So
there it is. Love it.
Me too. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking for ideas on like, who do you follow or read? Like, who do you think is, wow, I got to read Eric Paley's post or Dave Frankel's, or where do you consume information that's sort of relevant to how you think and source?
Nietzsche, F. Scott Fitzgerald, David Foster Wallace.
Okay, we've established you're thoughtful and part of the Illuminati.
Excuse my virtue signaling. I'm going to be doing it this whole time. See if you can catch it. I'm like a highlights magazine.
Perfect.
Of virtue signaling. I'm going to drop these things. They're going to be like, was he virtue signaling? It was obviously virtue signaling. Go ahead.
No,
who do I listen? Who do I read?
Yeah. What do you think?
So it's funny.
I see you comment back to like Harry Stebbins, 20 VC.
Okay.
You like to edit.
No, totally. Yeah. I can riff here. So
I can riff here. I love that. That's kind of like hip hop.
Okay. See, I'm super hip hop.
I was gonna say,
totally.
If you look at me, you're like, that dude is hip hop, right? That's the first thing people think. Like, what do you think? Javon, right? Right? You're looking at me, you're like,
it's all over our Slack
that
channel.
Dude.
Yeah.
All right, sure. Golf course. So the answer is, you did mention somebody out of the blue. Actually, we haven't discussed this, but when I came up in VC, a very long 4 years ago, I was doing a little bit of a listening tour. Mentorship has always been a thing, right? Let me do a little bit more virtue signaling. My father taught me that wisdom was one of the most important things that. So I reached out to a lot of different people, and everybody's been so helpful, right? Minor, all of our LPs, my contemporaries, people that have done better than I have, that are now our LPs, that have these billion-dollar family offices, where I'm still a little bit, kind of pissed off that they won, so to speak, but there's still some time left. I would say that one of my greatest mentors, whether he knows it or not, and the person that's been truly most helpful, is a guy by the name of Eric Paley, like you said before.
Yeah, good guy.
And I don't know. It was almost strange to me that Eric, because I've known him for a long time, but it just feels like he stepped up the interactions. He was always there to answer questions. He was making intros. The guy was just golden for me, and he still is. And now he's the Secretary of
Commerce or whatever they call
economic development in Massachusetts. And if you don't know Eric Paley, he's been. His first fund, he was an entrepreneur, right? He was the sub-$100 million fund guy with David Frankel and Micah and now Amanda and Dave Basalia and stuff like that, and Jack. But they built this franchise in this firm. But the first fund they did was after they had both exited a company for $75 million, Brontes. Yeah. It's so funny. I don't know if Eric knows this, but I remember he essentially said to me, raising the first fund so hard. He's like, it's going to get so much easier for fund two. It's going to get so much easier. It's yeah, if you have Uber in your first fund, it gets a hell of a lot easier. You're absolutely right, Eric.
$50,000 seat check. Yeah,
he wrote $90,000 into it or something. It was a 350x. So life gets a little easier when you do shit like that.
All right, so you read Eric and David.
So I would say Eric is somebody verbally who's been extremely helpful. He writes perfectly fine. I listen to Stebbings. I like to get a pace on. He has great guests. He's an awesome interviewer. I like to get an idea of the fucking candy nonsense that's occurring in the world. Meaning, every time that Stebbings is you have to be 2 times 3 times 3 or whatever the hell it is, and working 996. And
you almost had an English accent.
20. No, I'm trying not to do that, actually. $20 million on 100 is now the standard. It's fuck no, it's not. You guys are all just completely diluted, and that's going to be awesome. I mean, listen, at the end of the day,
there's plenty of other opportunities out there that aren't in that strata.
I'd like to say something. I'm not a stupid person, I think.
Agreed.
So there are 4 decacorns in San Francisco to every one coming out of New York, never mind everywhere else. That's where it's happening, right? It doesn't fucking mean it's the only place it's happening, right? It's very helpful. The density is better than anywhere else in the world. In fact, after you start a company, go west, young man or woman, right? And allow that to supercharge your company if that's where you should be doing it. With that being said, that doesn't mean that people aren't starting companies in Burlington and in Philadelphia and
Rochester,
in Toronto, Rochester, Austin, all of these places. And it's going to keep happening everywhere.
Did I read correctly that about half of your companies are in these sort of
It's kind of our jam. So
Okay.
doing a circle back
to the YU. Yeah.
Back to the beginning of the conversation when I was giving this, this rant about San Francisco and the history of venture and where it's at now. Like, there's a point to this, and at least in my mind, and the point is that you can practice venture capital outside of San Francisco, and the way that we choose to do it is we choose to get on planes, to go meet people where they are, to meet the centers of influence in those cities, the people that have such pride for Burlington, Philadelphia. There are people that have created massive companies that go back to their hometowns and they build hospitals and they're awesome and so on and so forth. Hula, so on and so forth, yourself and everybody that's here. And they have tremendous civic pride or town pride, whatever you want to call it. And so what we do is we go and we say, we Oliver Twist, we truffle pig and we Oliver Twist. We walked up to David Bradbury and the guys at Hula and we say, please, sir, can you give me some deal flow? And as long as we're there often enough, and I will admit that I'm not here often enough, but usually we'll visit places a lot.
But you get right back to me when I said, hey, here's something kind of wacky we're looking at.
Let's have a turkey club. Yeah, let's enjoy a conversation, and maybe, just maybe, that'll make you think of me when you have this company that nobody else has seen, and you're like, there's just something about this entrepreneur that I like. Do you want to talk to him?
You're meeting with two of them while you're here. You don't know that yet.
So that's it, man. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, I mean, what, just explain, I know that you guys use the term Misfit Founder, which I love. What does that mean? Like, what do you see in that founder?
I think you're probably a little too young to remember. I think it was maybe The Year Without a Santa Claus or Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It was one of those claymation movies. That's one of your jams?
Yeah, I mean, I love Christmas.
There was the Island of Misfit Toys.
I know the Island of Misfit Toys.
Okay, sorry. No, I don't know. I don't know what you whippersnappers are into nowadays.
Hopefully that never goes out of style, the Island of Misfit Toys.
So we, again, they're not misfits, but they kind of are. They decide to start a company in Burlington. Or Burlington decides to start a company.
It's an irrational decision.
Or Burlington decides to start a company in them. Right? And that's where they are. They're misfits. And guess what? And I'll say it right here. This is going to be a little, hopefully somebody hears it. If I'm going up from a competitive standpoint against Hamant from General Catalyst or Brian from Sequoia or Ben from Andreessen Horowitz, chances are I'm self-aware that I may lose. I was about to say I'll lose, but I'm not going to say that because I'm not that self-aware. I'll compete against them. But if you put one of their fucking scouts up against me, I'll wipe the floor with them every day.
Right.
Good luck. So, Godspeed. Put one of your kids up against me and see who wins that deal.
So you're fishing in a lot of ponds that may not be as covered by the principles of these luminaries, right?
Big catfish in those ponds, man. They just happen to be the
fish, right? Yeah. Rather than hook the same fish at the same dock with 10 others.
Yeah.
You talked about backing, these 0.5% founders, right? These top of the top.
Did I say a lot of stuff?
Yeah, you do say a lot of stuff, but I retained some of it. And
throw stuff against the wall.
What does she look like? Like what are the traits that just pop off? Like we look for undeniable founders, right? And we've got certain questions and characteristics and attributes, but I'm really curious, what is that echelon where you just see it?
I think that when I'm meeting I'll just speak for myself personally. Like when I'm meeting a founder, I'm sitting across the table from them. It's usually a Socratic method type interview where it's just question, I'm interrupting cow. Like I'll just butt in and just try to get to and then I'll just pick on things. Like I just have this thing where I'll just drill into certain things. But what I'm really trying to do is gauge who that human is because, it is all about the human being. Markets change, ideas change. Slack was once a big video game. Like the pivots are all over the place. Like this is just the way things work. So you're betting on the person. It's ad hominem to a person. So how do I evaluate that person? I'm sitting there and I'm just staring them in the soul, right? And just essentially trying to say, is this the type of person I think that can win and persevere and be smart? It's a big coefficient equation. And they're probably I don't know, like 50 variables. And a lot of them are the exact same variables that everybody else puts weights on, right? In the Valley or anywhere else. Does their LinkedIn say fucking Stanford, right? Like, whatever, who cares? Yeah, sure. It's all a matter of, it's fulcrums. It's like, how much weight is on this and how great are they? And then so on and so forth. So did they go to a great school? What did they do before? Did they sell lemonade when they were a kid? Like, Hummingbird Ventures, are they DSM level criteria? Like, traumatized. Like, there's all sorts of different things that you can kind of say, okay, this is, I've seen this before, or there's something special about this person. I think it is all of that. I think that in addition to that, it's also, is this somebody that, one, we can work with and we can help, and two, they want to be helped or they want to work with us or whatever that little thing is. That doesn't mean calls every day or every week or anything else along those lines. I mean, one of our amazing entrepreneurs, and this is a little bit of a curveball, like, is Colin Kaepernick. Like, and Colin, started this company called Lumi. And we talked to most of our entrepreneurs, most of our portfolio companies, including the ones that are 25 million and rolling, like crazy growth, and already are going to make our portfolio once a month, usually. I'd say 80% of our portfolio companies we talk to once a month, one of us. And Colin, we talk to once every 6 months. He's a busy guy. And I'm not saying that that's when we first started what we envisioned. We certainly don't make a habit of investing in celebrity deals either. Like, we know what the data says about a lot of those. There's just something about Colin Kaepernick. And it's funny, if you sit there across the table from him and you're like, does he have the perseverance that is necessary and the spirit and the will? It's like, okay, we're not gonna check those boxes. We're gonna light that paper on fire, right? Like, and Colin, I mean, long story short, we talked to him a month ago, and he's like, so we pivoted, but it's tangential to what he's doing. It's still kind of in stealth. It's like, well, we're gonna go from 1 million last year. We're like, you did 1 million last year, to probably like 8 to 15 this year. He's like, and we're at X, and we have Y amount of revenue for a 3-year
Those are calls
contract.
you want all the time.
I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, wait, how did you do that? And, and so that's when, so it's just, there's certain things that you just can't kind of put in a box. With that being said, I do have a philosophy on kind of how you can create the Renaissance technologies of venture capital. It has to do with data, clean data and compute, and there's got to be a variable out there that enables us to really be able to tell, or a set of variables that gives us a 51% chance of picking the right entrepreneurs. I think that we're almost there, just as kind of an ecosystem. And I think a venture capital firm, they've been trying to do it forever. Right. But I think somebody's going to figure that out relatively soon, because we now have 60 plus years worth of data, and it sits in the SEC Edgar database, LinkedIn's API, Twitter's API, or X's API, Crunchbase, PitchBook, so on and so forth. And if you triangulate all those things, you can see who starts a company and when, what it does, and how it ends up. And so I think, with the compute that we have, I think we're going to start to be able to get a little bit better at kind of.
What fun is that? You're going to not start taking meetings and learning hour by hour?
Not us. I mean, we're not. I only need to be so rich, I don't need to be I think multi-billionaires' brains break at some point, right? We're seeing it in real time. What is it, 100 billion or something? Where,
I've not experienced that problem, so I can't really.
Yeah, I mean,
so
same.
Yeah.
So I know we're getting up to time, but what's next for you guys? I know you just added a third fund.
We did, yeah. So we again, very lucky. So the first fund was David. He did 10.5 in Rochester with the whole thesis of connecting, secondary ecosystems to primary hubs and mentorship and downstream capital. Very admirable job. The guy raised $10 million like at the beginning of COVID, which is bananas. David's very likable. David and I are yin and yang.
Most Davids are very likable. I've found.
Well, I mean, it's funny. I say we truly are Riggs and Murtaugh.
Right? Yeah, you agree.
Yin and yang, and David is very likable and a really nice guy, and I'm the yang. So, we did a $25 million second fund when we first came together with an intrigue. And this one is looking to be about 50. We've done a first close on that. We've been very lucky, and most of it is due to the fact that our portfolio is so awesome. What's next? We have our hands in the dirt right now.
Yeah, you're just starting, right?
Yeah, we're just there trying to do exactly what we said we were going to do, which is put our rucksacks over our shoulders, travel, like vagabonds around the country, get people to notice us, and then provide as much help as humanly possible with the hopes that flywheel will keep turning for us. And it seems like it kind of is. We're paired up with some, we've been very lucky. And again, at the end of the day, my good friend Ryan Moore will always say, which is totally self-deprecating and not true, but rather be lucky than good at times.
True or false? Is it proven out that rural startups are more capital efficient?
They have to be.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. And what's so funny is that believe one of the variables that some of the barbell, the large firms look for is how high the burn rate is. They want people to spend money. And it makes sense. I mean, it means that they have a repeatable model in most cases, and they can go through this. They could shovel more money into it.
Yeah, but it causes irrational things to happen. We're experiencing.
Well, think about
one of our companies been force fed a lot more money than they wanted. They took half of this huge number, and were forced to build things in advance of real, true demand. And you end up with infrastructure maybe that's too big, or you have to
think about the moral hazards. So what I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but what is happening in the United States of America is obviously a mass transfer of wealth, right? Like at the end of the day, and I'm a participant in it. Make no mistake. But the transfer of wealth, it's just money sits at the top end. We have to shovel it somewhere because we're getting paid fees for it. If we don't make the money move, all the way up from the pensions and the people that are working their butts off and giving money to their 401ks and the people that are managing that money and then giving it to the barbell firms, right? And then they have to put that money to work. Otherwise, they don't get paid and they don't get to go buy their islands and participate in their fucking kleptocracies or whatever you want to call it, right? So then they have to give those to companies. And in order to move $100 million checks, you got to get entrepreneurs to spend money, and everything has to look that way. And then it just so happens that model works because most of those companies that are spending all that money and tossing it in, the flaming inferno of cash burn are going to fail. But some of them succeed, right? Some of them need that money. And those outcomes are so large that they make up for the rest, and then you get your 2X. Fuck that noise. I'm going to go back to let's give entrepreneurs 2X what they really need or what they think they need in any given round. Let's go be capitally efficient, and let's go create some fucking optionality for ourselves by either becoming profitable or leveling up to a point where it is undeniable that they can raise another round of financing. That's what I'm interested in. And yeah, I mean, if you're outside the cities, again, it's not the scouts that are going to be practicing venture capital and the art of venture capital the way they do in San Francisco. Therefore, it takes a little bit longer to get people to the next phase of downstream financing. And so they have to be more capitally efficient.
Okay. Last question by me. Is that okay, Nicole?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Not the magic wand. Well, you can do that.
Yeah.
But I give you a lot of credit for spending time up here in Vermont and doing a couple trips a year.
It's horrible.
To learn it. Yeah, it's
terrible here.
Horrible.
It's ugly.
Literally, you brought rain. We haven't had rain in 17 weeks.
I literally landed at the airport, walked outside, and it started raining.
Yeah. So, and you're such a big part of Boston's ecosystem and perhaps these other cities you're involved in. So, any observations on what our little Vermont ecosystem it looks like? Is it sufficiently credible? Is there some obvious gap or strength we're not flexing enough?
I'm
Damn it, Phil. What's the answer?
Yeah. First things first. I mean, it's just one man's opinion, but I'm not in the business. Believe it or not, I'm not in the business of wasting my time. I'm at that stage in life where time is my most valuable commodity, and I think that you're a beautiful man, and you guys are awesome, and you're so fun, and your spirit is just you're so pulsating towards me. But I'd probably rather be spending time with my wife and my kids. So the reason I'm here is because I think that the ecosystem is interesting, and the reason I'm here is because I think that there's mithril in the mountain. And as far as gaps go, I would say that you just said, is there something we need to flex? I think you just need to flex. It's all a matter of just it's it's a very unnatural thing for people from a place like Burlington or elsewhere to go out and yell from the hilltops how cool you are. I think it's important.
I love that about our place, but it's frustrating sometimes. Right?
I really think
It's tough to get noticed.
I think it's
Yeah.
very important for people to do that,
Yeah.
because that's what gets attention, and that's what gets dollars, and that's what gets an ecosystem buzzing. That's what gets people to move to it. Like if a tree falls in the forest and like no one's there, it doesn't make a sound, right? You guys have trees falling all over the place here, literally.
So good. So good.
All right, we do have to wrap it up.
Now it's magic wand time. So the magic wand question is, what founder or leader, past or present, would you like to chat with?
Wow, that's a really good question. I think it would be super. This is gonna be so smarmy. I think it would be super, super interesting to talk to. I have two, so that's cheating. Right now, off the top of my head, sorry, they're both male, but George Washington and Nelson Mandela would be two people that would be super, super awesome to talk to. Specifically, as it pertains to exactly what they're going through at the moment and how they're navigating through and what their true thoughts are, and kind of just listen to them riff. That's it. Like, I just want to hear kind of what they were thinking.
Yeah.
During that entire time, and what's important to them. I think that's the coolest thing about human beings is really sitting down and just hearing what's important to them and letting them tell stories. Because once somebody actually opens up and tells their intimate stories about just moments and what's important to them right then and there or during a given time, I think that there's just so much learning that I can do based off of that, and it informs my future behavior and experiences.
All right.
That's so good. That's so good.
Phil, we got up at like 8 a.m. to do this morning.
So sorry to hear that.
We love you and respect you and thank you, right? Like,
I didn't know this wasn't a morning place, but I mean, you guys look great.
It's a morning place. The engineers are here. Like,
I was here at like 7:15.
You all look bright-eyed and bushy tailed.
I'm not.
Thank you.
I'm going to need to take a nap. All right, Phil, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And
No worries,
let's
this
keep
was,
doing this, Nicole, huh?
Yeah.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. Great.
All right. Thank you. This has been Start Here, a podcast sharing the stories of active, aspiring, and accidental entrepreneurs. This series is brought to you by the Vermont Center for Emerging Technologies. Now let's get back to work.